G'day, how are you doing? Hopefully doing well, keeping healthy and safe. And we're back. And today we have a new beaut one. We're gonna have a look into this new Lenovo Yoga Book 9i. This is Gen 8. Technically, it's actually the first version of this form factor, but I know Lenovo, just to make things easy and keep things consistent, most of the laptops these days for the 2023, they call it Gen 8, just to make things easier. But basically, again, first version. And this is a 13-inch dual screen OLED notebook. Now this can be a laptop, tablet, it does all form factors. This is just crazy. I love this laptop, and that's a spoiler alert. And I've done a lot of reviews and touched a lot of laptops. I gotta say, this one is something special. Now we're gonna have a look at the temperature and fan noise, look at the functionality. We'll also do the jitter test later in the video for the pen support. It does support the pen, and just how this actually runs. And spend a bit of time with it, and it is cool. And I will be putting timestamps along this video so I can skip to this section that you may be interested to save you time. The Yoga Book 9i does have a fair number of different modes you can actually have this laptop. It is really nice with all these cool possibilities. Now, first one is what I don't know what you call this. I'm just going to call it this very special Yoga Book mode, which I actually mostly prefer to use. And trust me, you do get a lot of looks, really curious and actually very nice looks from around and surrounding people as I've taken this outdoors, and they go, oh, that's a different way of actually putting a laptop. And just when they see the other side, it's like, oh, it's dual screen. Whoa, that's something different. And this is something I use a lot, with basically having the dual screen, and that's pretty much side by side. And there is a really cool mode as well too. So I'm just going to pop this up here. Now you can move this up, and I'm just going to shove this into the top mode, and you can actually just enable this, and it comes, and now you've got actually a seamless sort of way where it uses both displays. That's really nice to use it for those who actually want to use it. Now I'm just going to see it's all multi-gesture device here. Now we also have what we call I would say you can actually put this in book mode. Now I'm just going to show you this right here. I'm just going to leave this in what I call book mode here. Now you can, as this is the keyboard with the keyboard cover. Now this is, I'm just going to turn this off because so I don't actually accidentally press the thing. Now this is Bluetooth keyboard here, and it's magnetic to this keyboard cover, and you can actually charge this by USB-C, and it actually lasted quite a long time. I haven't charged it since I actually got this thing for a while. And again, this is magnetic here, as you can see that actually holds in very nicely here. Now this keyboard cover is also to actually travel with, and also helps you do the stand here. Now there is a few different ways. I'm just going to show it to you now. So first off is, you saw how I just do this, fold this right, so you can see there's a pen holder here, and pretty much you can put this up here to actually put this out. Now there are other ways where you can actually fold this in towards itself, and this actually makes it easier for in this portrait mode. Now this is in book mode or in portrait mode. This is really nice if you're working on PDF documents. I know a few professions that do that, or just working with a lot of emails, or even just on websites. You actually get a nice, just a portrait mode here to work with, and it's really gorgeous to use it. Or you can use even ebooks, just as if you're actually reading a book. So this is what I will call it book mode here. I don't know what Lenovo will call this, but I call it book mode. Now, of course, you got this good old tent mode. Now, this is you'll see this quite often a lot with a lot of tool ones where you actually flip this up. Now, because it's dual screen, I'm not going to put this on, but just to show it to you, you can actually have, if you're using PowerPoint, you can have your presented slides that's facing towards you, and then which gives you a lot of notes and stuff, and then you can have your other normal facing slides to the public, which is where you can actually present other for PowerPoint. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. I have dual screens, it's really cool. That's for the good old tent mode here, and then of course you got your mode where you can actually just hold this down. Now I've actually had to use that very much one time. I've actually had to do this sort of mode here, and that was because I was in a very windy day, and this was, even though this is very stable, I found this very stable, it was just that the wind was just catching on this because it was blowing that way, and it nearly tipped it over, and I was, oh, just to be safe, I actually did the other way mode. But else, I actually run this mode most of the time, as this is kind of a really nice mode to have dual screen. I can actually have pretty much what you expect from a dual screen laptop anyway, or a dual screen monitor display if you've got a dock set up anyway. This will run through a dock. Now it does have good old USB type C. Now it's got one on the right hand side, and you've got 2 on the left, and you can use any of the USB-C to charge. Now my only downfall, and it's probably my only critique to this laptop, is I wish there was a HDMI port. I know you can actually hook in the adapters, but I'm just one of those who run business. I actually like having not to worry about just the basic even adapter, but that's just a little quirk of mine. I liked having a HDMI port, and that's one of the things I just missed. But else, it's been fantastic. It runs 65 watts. You can easily find a docking station for this as well. And I forgot, the one other mode you can put it is in tablet mode, where you can just chuck this in there and then you can fix it. Now, there's also one thing I can actually show you, and I think I've shown this in the actual book itself in the unboxing video, is you can take the actual keyboard. I'm just going to turn this keyboard on just so I can actually recognize it. You can pop it up on this and you'll see it automatically changes to a trackpad. Now this is a trackpad. It does have taptic feedback, so yes, you do feel that. Or you can actually chuck into the bottom part and it pretty much uses some displays up here that you can actually do quick things. So you kind of cool that. Now if you don't want to wish to use the keyboard, there is a backup keyboard, and that's pretty much, I'll just see if I can actually just chuck this in here just so I can hop this up, and that is pretty much 8 fingers. So pop that. Oh, I think I'll just pop that up. You'll see automatically the soft keyboard will come up and you can just type away. Now the soft keyboard, it's pretty much as if you're typing on either like a tablet or iPad. You got that feel to it. I'm not keen on that, so I always use a nice keyboard. Now this keyboard is great to use, and it looks like the Yoga Pro series that I've been tested it in the past, and it actually feels good, and it's got a bit of key travel. Absolutely fantastic, and it's quiet too. So just to give you an idea of that, both of the displays are 13.3 inch OLED displays each. Now that has a resolution of 2.8K, which means it has an aspect ratio of 16:10. Now it has a maximum brightness rating of 400 nits on each display, and have a glossy display. Now this is because it is a glass display, which is able to support and the durability of stylus or digital pen support, and also multi-touch. This is quite normal to see, and you are going to get a bit of reflections. Now, because of the sharpness, vibrance, and also the brightness of this OLED display, I did not find it difficult or distracting having all that reflections. Now, the camera does pick up quite a lot of this reflections, but when you're working on display, you do not actually focus on those reflections or find the reflections distracting or hindering your vision on the display. And that's the same goes out when you're working directly in sunlight. I did not find the actual reflections from this glossy glass display any worse off. I was easily able to consume multimedia and working on documents in direct sunlight on those LED displays. Absolutely fantastic. Measuring the color gamut coverage of the 2.8K OLED display, which is the primary display. This is the one with the webcam that's built into it. It resulted with 100% sRGB coverage, 94.4% Adobe RGB coverage, and 98.9% DCI-P3 coverage. Measuring the color gamut coverage of the second 2.8K OLED display, it resulted with 100% sRGB coverage, 95.2% Adobe RGB coverage, and 99.2% DCI-P3 coverage, which is again extremely high and suited for photo and video edit tasks. So both displays are have very high color gamut coverage and are both suited for photo and video editing tasks. I've got a viewer asking about how is the reflection on the bottom display with light source. Now I've got a little lamp here that's actually just giving to the most extreme you can to see the reflection on this. Now you see there is a little reflection, but it's not that annoying. Now if I remove this, because I'm just going to show the downlights in this room, it's really not going to catch on it. And even if you do, if you have a look now, I'm just putting this back on just to give you a simulate if you've got a light. Now this should be a lot further. This is pretty much, this is how close that is at the moment. So you'll see the reflection. I'm just putting this to the extreme there. And really, it's pretty much, you can just move this around. I always say just move around until you just don't have that reflection on there. But even then, you can see it straight through. It's not that bad. Even though you see the highlight, I'm just going to bring up the keyboard just to show you just how that is. Now I'm just going to move this just so a little bit. So that's kind of like hitting it. But you can see that's just around. Now I'm going to put it in this in an angle. This light here in angle, just put a shirt through, just give you an idea how hotspot this is. Now this, I'm not going to say is a bad thing, and I don't think this is just about limitation of the current technology, as this is what you call glass base, and this is normal for any glass. Even a mobile phone will have the same sort of issue. And it's really just one thing you can really do is just move this a little bit. As you can see, I'll just move that away, and you don't have that hot spot. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I don't think this is something that Lenovo cannot do. And truthfully, just move the laptop just a little bit to the left or right or up and down or whatever, and you don't have that reflection of hotspot. And you can still type away. Even then, when it's on it, it's not that annoying, distracting. If it isn't, just move the laptop a little bit. So I think it actually deals with the actual hotspot of lights and reflections pretty well. This is a recording from the 1440p webcam from the Yoga Book 9. Alright, this is the video and the audio unedited, so you can hear and see what the quality of the webcam is like. Now, it's absolutely great to see that Lenovo actually put a high-def webcam just a little bit above what I would normally ask for, which is a 1080p. So they've gone beyond that. It's good to see that. It just gives you more option for content creation for when you use the webcam. And as always in this webcam test, I've got two types to currently turn on. I've got one studio light turned on, and also the downlights is room turned on for ambience. Now I'm going to turn off my one studio light off to see how this adjusts. Actually, it's starting to adjust pretty good. And the two downlights in front of me is a bit far away, so there's not much light here on my face. We'll consider a dark environment. Now, if you're in an office environment, you should have much more light than what I'm currently at. And I'm going to turn my one studio light back on again and see this adjust. Now, I think the capture colors and the sharpness of this was fantastic from what I see from the other side of this webcam. It's been absolutely good. Now, there is also a privacy shutter for the webcam, and it is not really a physical shutter that goes over the webcam. It is actually e-shutter. So actually what it does is kind of disables the webcam, and it's a physical button on the right hand side on the laptop. Just to let you know that, I'd definitely love to hear what your thoughts of this webcam. So definitely put a comment below. There are 4 speakers in total. There are 2 tweeters hidden inside that beautiful hinge, and the other 2 are located on either side, on the bottom side of the Yoga Book 9. When I tested out the maximum volume of speakers, it managed to measure the peak of 87.8 decibels. Consider these pretty decently loud speakers, and I wouldn't have any issues on hearing these speakers outdoors or even in a very busy cafe. And as for the sound quality of the speakers, now these are Bowens and Wilkins speakers. Now, these speakers sound absolutely fantastic. They've got quite a lot of bass. It's got that punchy bass too. We've got very strong mids and highs. It is balanced more towards the bass and mids. So it's taking advantage of that nice deep bass, and we have very, very nice acoustic and reverb, and we've got fantastic clarity. And I must admit, I really am shocked by how well these speakers sound. Absolute fantastic. And the volume, these are good sounding speakers. And of course, because it's located on their hinge, you can actually hear this anywhere in any sort of form this Yoga Book 9 is orientated. The Yoga Book 9i comes with an 80 watt-hour battery, and I managed to get 8 hours for modern office battery life test in PC Mark 10, 2 hours and 42 minutes for gaming, and 7 hours and 52 minutes for video playback in the Procom battery life test. This isn't all-day battery life, but it is getting close there. And what I'm really surprised by is traditionally OLED displays do consume more power than IPS displays or VA displays that I've tested in the past. And this Yoga Book 9 is driving 2 of these OLED display, full displays too. So I'm actually surprised how well it did in battery life. Now this is getting close to all day battery. If you're really only driving one, this will easily go over all day battery life, but this is driving 2 displays, getting close to that. That's pretty amazing. So kudos to Lenovo for doing a fantastic job on the battery life on 2 OLED displays. The weight of the Yoga Book 9i is 1.34 kilos, plus the 65 watt power adapter becomes a combined weight of 1.52 kilos. And also the keyboard with the keyboard cover becomes a combined weight of 1.96 kilos. And also with the wireless mouse becomes a combined weight of 2.04 kilos. And also the Lenovo pen, if you wish to carry that with you. And the whole entire package becomes a combined weight of 2.06 kilos that you might be carrying around with you. looking at temperatures and fan noise, when I took my measurements, the ambient room temperature was 20 degrees Celsius. Now, just to give you a bit of reference point, your average hand is anywhere between 33 to 34 degrees Celsius. In the recording, you see my hand was anywhere between 34 to 35 degrees Celsius, as I was just recovering from a cold, so it's just more warmer than normal. So I took my base measurement when the computer was idle, and I took the temperatures on the bottom half of the Yoga Book 9, as that's where the most of the processing is, and the hottest area measured a maximum of 31 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, it was pretty much dead silent, so measured in at 35 decibels, and the average internal core temperature was 41 degrees Celsius. So that's measuring a very good start, as this is very nice and cool. Then I put 20% load on the computer. That's pretty much average use. So that's tasks like office productivity work, surfing the web, streaming video, and the bottom half of the Yoga Book 9 measured a maximum of 31 degrees Celsius still, and it was still dead silent, so measured at 35 decibels. As for the average internal core temperatures was actually 40 degrees Celsius, so there was a little bit of fan spinning, but I really don't hear it at all. And then I put 50% load on the computer, and the hottest area on the bottom half of the Yoga Book 9 measured in a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, again, it was still dead silent, so I measured in again at 35 decibels. Now, as for the internal core temperature, it bumped up to 47 degrees Celsius. So this is still dead silent and still very cool to work with. Then I put 100% load on the computer, and the bottom half measured a maximum of 41 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, hit a maximum of 41 decibels. So you do hear the fan a little bit, but it's not really loud at all. It's barely that noticeable. And the average internal core temperature was 72 degrees Celsius. I also measured the bottom back cover while I had 100% load on the computer, and the hottest area around the back cover measured a maximum of 43 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, of course, it stayed at 41 decibels. I also put this in tablet mode with a 20% load, so it's pretty much what I would say I've reduced. And the hottest area on the top part of the Yoga Book 9 measured a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius. And as for the fan noise, it's again staying silent at 35 decibels, and the average internal core temperature was 42 degrees Celsius. And also on the bottom half of the Yoga Book 9, it also measured a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius. Seeing the results, the Yoga Book 9 pretty much is silent most of the time, unless you put 100% load, and even after about 75% load, it still only spins the fan a little bit, and it's until 100% load is when you start to hear a little bit of the fan, but even then, it's not really that noticeable at all. And as for temperatures, this Yoga Book 9 is easily to touch. It's not really warm at any sort of factor at all. Let's examine the processor performance of the long duration tasks. Now, this Yoga Book 9 is configured with an i7-1355U processor. Windows reports this processor has a base clock speed of 1.7 GHz. So we want to see this above 1.7 GHz. Now, I do have a lot of load, pretty much 100% load on the processor, memory, and quite a lot of load on the storage as well for just over an hour. And I can see that the speed of the processor is ranging between 2.5 to about 3 gigahertz, which is above the 1.7 gigahertz, which means we don't have thermal throttling, which is absolutely fantastic. We do have a bit of turbo throttling, but that's not, it's kind of expected. And we do have the processor running anywhere between 66 to about 70 degrees Celsius. So we still got a lot of headroom for the actual performance of the processor for the terms of temperatures, but I can see that Lenovo is trying to keep this cool, and also for as it being a tablet almost type of thing, and also trying to keep it quiet as well. But we are stress testing it and putting this probably not a sort of task that this laptop is really designed for, but we are seeing quite a good performing laptop here, which is really absolutely fantastic to see. Here's the results of the benchmarks performed on the Yoga Book 9. This one's configured with an i7-1355U processor with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gig SSD. And here's the results for Passmark, Citybench R23, PC Mark, 3D Mark, Geekbench, Crystal Disk Mark, Procon Office, Procon Photo Edit, Procon Video Edit, Plugin Photoshop, Plugin Lightroom, Plugin Premiere Pro, Plugin DaVinci Resolve, Blender, Furmark, Luxmark, Eugene Engine, F1 2022, and Spec View Pref. The Yoga Book 9 does come with a digital stylus. Now this is the Lenovo Digital Pen 3. Now in my unboxing video, if you have checked that video out, I'll put a link in the description below. It does have a AAA battery which you can access at the top, which is just unscrew the top here, and it will hopefully last quite a bit of time. Now unfortunately I don't have this Yoga Book long enough to actually know how long this battery lasts for, but you can check it up in the software. Now it does also have two buttons which you can customize in the Lenovo Pen software as well too, and we also have 4096 levels of pressure sensitivity in this top of the nib, and we'll just do the line jitter test. Now I'm going to try and do my diagonal lines, and I do have my palm on the display. Now please bear with me, I am not a digital artist, I'm just doing my best, slowly trying to get it done. Now just do quick ones here. Now I'm also going to bring in a ruler. Now again, I'm only going to touch my palm on the display. That's just one palm here. We'll just see how that goes. And now I'm going to put a second touch with my palm on the display. See how that, if it's able to reject it, it's actually able to reject it. Whoops, just missed that on the ruler. And I'm just going to take the ruler out, and again I'm going to see how this goes with, oh, it's able to reject my two touches, which is really nice. And I'll just do my quick straight lines, and I'll just do the legs, which is really nice to see. And I'm just going to do my swirls. Now I am going to touch my palm on the display to see how that runs. It's interesting that it is jittering a little bit with my display. It is quite sensitive, the actual display, on how this pen is. I'm just going to check the parallax. Now that's actually following quite well on my behind the pen, so I don't find that as much parallax or much lag, if you want to call it that. Again, it is pressure sensitive, so this is very lightly and hard, light, hard, light. And I just do some writing. My palm is on the display. Overall, I've got one sentence for this laptop, which I don't very often say in this channel, and that is functionality over performance. And this thing, even though it has good performance, but it is a U series processor, and I'm used to like performance or H series processors that just shoot a lot of good performance. This one here is actually surprisingly decent enough for what I need to do. It even does video editing there, surprisingly. But wow, the actual functionality of this and just the productivity work I was able to get out of this is love it, absolutely love it. And that's something I have probably very rare that I would say on this channel, as I've seen a lot of laptops, and that is I absolutely love this laptop. I would actually pay money to actually buy this. This whole functionality is so polished that Lenovo have actually done absolute, oh, I just can't say any more better words than that. This thing is so good. We got a very premium feeling laptop all around. Just feels all look and feels just so good. We got a very nice keyboard that actually does a lot of functionality there. I can't really say anything bad about it. We've got good pen support here, and just keyboard cover is absolutely fantastic to actually use with this, and just the standard, just the different modes that this computer can go. Now, the speakers on this is absolutely gorgeous to sound like speakers. I love the hinge design of this, just the fact that you can actually hear the sound, any sort of mode this is in. Absolute great work, Lenovo, and very good idea of actually putting the speakers in the hinge. I don't think I've seen another laptop that's actually done the same thing as well. And the ports, they're very useful, and that's probably the only dry thing I would actually suggest that Lenovo do is put a HDMI port there. I love that it has 3 USB-C ports, but I definitely would like to see a HDMI port just to give, so I don't have to carry a adapter for me. Now we've got fantastic webcam and these 2 OLED displays. Woo, absolutely LOL. can actually good enough to actually do photo and video editing, and they are bright and they have good vibrance and color from it. And I was still very easily able to work outdoors with these two displays. And the battery life, wow, I was actually very impressed because it is nearly all day battery life on using two OLED displays. Now I don't see that very often, and that Lenovo, you've done a fantastic job. So this Lenovo Yoga Book 9i, I can easily recommend to anyone here. So I hope you find this video informative and enjoyed it. If you did even support my channel, smash that like button for me. Share this video as well too, it does help me out. And as always, imperfections in life makes it beautiful and interesting. And I'll see you next video.